Hello guys, and welcome once again to my channel. And in the last video we looked at our admin login and our admin registration. Alright, so in this video we are going to be looking at viewing our profile. And so before we actually get into things, I just want to say something right now. Please subscribe to my channel, just hit the subscribe button and turn off the notifications bell to get notification every single time I publish a new video. Okay, so right now let's get back in here. And let's get back over to our text editor. So to begin our view profile for our users, we are going to go into our user private routes, which we created when we were talking about protecting certain routes. And right within our user private route, we are going to import a couple of things. So first off, we need to import our switch, our route, and then our redirect. And we'll need this because we'll want to be able to change between different components. And this is coming from React Router DOM. Alright, so having imported this successfully, what we can then next do is we will definitely need to create a header here. So the header is going to help us to serve as, like say, our navigation within our user dashboard. And so to do this, I am going to go into our layout. So I'm going to go to our layout here. And right in our layout for our users, we are going to create a new file here. Not here, sorry. We are supposed to create a new file in our user here. And this new file is going to be called our header.js. Alright, so I'm just going to create a functional component in here and have a bold tag here that says this is the header of our application. And I'm going to save this right now. And if I get back over to our user private route, I'm going to import our header from our layout, right? From our layout user header. And then I can just place our header here. So I save this right now. This is our user private route. So if I head over to our browser, yep, you can see this is the header of our application. Okay, so now let's get back to our header. And right in here, we are going to do a couple of things. And before we go on to do those things, we would have to import certain things from React Material UI, which we have been using to design our application. And the first of them is going to be our app bar. And our app bar is going to come from Material UI core /app bar. And then also we'll need to use CSS baseline. It's not capital CSS baseline. And this is from Material UI core /CSS baseline. And what I can do now is I'm going to group everything that falls within Material UI core. Yep, that way it just saves us a lot of things. And I'm going to get rid of this. Alright, so the next thing we would need to import within Material UI core is going to be our toolbar, and then next is going to be our typography, and then the last of them is going to be our button. Our button. Okay, so let's get rid of this because we actually imported this from Material UI core. And now we can save this, and that should do for now. So what we can next up do is right within our header application, I'm going to get rid of this right now. And our div here is going to have a class name. Our class name is going to be classes.roots. So we are going to be using our custom styles, which is our styles.js right in here. So let's just import that in here too. So I'm going to import use styles, and this is from styles.js. And I'm going to create an instance of this here by saying classes would be use styles. Okay, so right within our div here, we're going to call our CSS baseline and then our app bar. And for our app bar, we want our app bar to be fixed. So I'm going to give this a position of fixed. All right, so that if we are scrolling down, it just stays steady. All right, so right within our app bar, we want to have our typography, which is more like H tags. All right, so our variant here, we want this to be the H6 in terms of the size and no wrap, of course. And the class name we are going to use here is going to be our classes.title. All right, and right within this typography, I am going to have tech builds in here, and I'm going to also copy this typography because we are going to have yet another one here. And this second typography is going to be saying welcome to the user dashboard. Welcome to the user dashboard. And then lastly is that we are then going to have a button here. A button here, and we just want it to inherit the color. And for our button, we're going to attach an on-click event that is going to log out a user. And let's go ahead and create this event. So I'm going to go in here and just create a logout event right now. So const logout, and all our logout events is going to do is just going to console.log. Right, for now we're going to say logged user out, and I'm going to save this right now. And we still have an error here saying use styles is called a function header. What could be causing this? Let's see. We imported our use styles properly from our styles. No, I think I know what this is. Let's change this to a capital letter. This is header because what we are importing in here is the header from header. All right, so that should do right now. So let's head over to our browser, and let me refresh this. And here we have this. Okay, so let's wrap this around a toolbar so that things just properly align in our toolbar. So let's get everything in from here, and align this inside of our toolbar. Save that again. And yep, we have everything looking pretty nice. We have tech builds here. Welcome to tech builds, and we have our logout button right next to it. Okay, so now that we have successfully designed this header, let's head back to our application. And what I want to do right now is I'm going to pass the props here. All right, so just pass our props here, and then we're going to get into our user private routes, and I'm going to pass the props and pass that in here as the props. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this, and right in here is exactly where we are going to define our routes. And before we define our routes, we'll have to wrap this around a switch. Okay, so in our switch, we will be using our route, and we want the exact path. And for the URL, we are going to get our current URL basically for this route, and then concatenate that with view profile, which is this dashboard route. And the component is going to be a component we have not yet created called profile. And then we are also going to have another route here, and this route is going to redirect us to our profile route. But of course, this route is going to be our root route. So props.match.path, and this is going to redirect us to our profile route. So this is going to redirect us to our profile route. So let me just copy this right now. Sorry. And now I'm going to paste this in here. Get rid of one of these. Sorry. Okay, so that's going to redirect us to our profile route. Let's also close this too. And so if I save that, it tells us the profile is not defined. And so right now, let's create our profile route. So I'm going to use our terminal here to move into that folder. So I'm going to go to multi-auth, cd multi-auth, cd source, cd views, cd users, no user, yep, then cd, no, we didn't users. Let's make this directory here, not file, sorry, let's create this file here. So I'm going to call this profile view.js. All right, so we have our profile view.js created here. All right, so right in here, I'm going to create a functional based component, and this is profile view. And right at the top, we are going to import a couple of things. But before we do that, let's first of all, so that error disappears, so say this is the profile view. So let's get this out, save this right now, head back into the headers, and let's import profile view from, we are going to go into views /user and profile view. And oh, sorry, not here. We're supposed to import this here, sorry, not in the header. We're supposed to import this within our user private route, so let's import profile view. And our components is called this profile view. Save that right now. Said module not found. Attempted to import views which falls outside of the source directory. And let me do this again. Okay, so I'm not supposed to go that way. Oh, that's true. So user profile view. All right, so we are now sure that we don't have any errors in here. So let's get back to our profile view, and I'm going to get rid of this and start importing a couple of things. So first off, we're going to import card because we are going to use cards from material UI core. Import skeleton from material UI lab skeleton. And the essence of this skeleton is to show some skeleton text while we wait for the data 2%. And in here, we're going to have a card. And within our card, we'll have a div here. and the h3 and then a bold tag, and we'll have a name here. So let's just have a dummy text here of Francis. All right, and I'm going to copy this right now, paste that, paste that, paste that. Okay, so the name, the next is going to be the email, and the last is going to be account creation date. And let's just get rid of this last one here. And for our div tag, we are going to have a class name here of classes.full with profile. And of course, we know that for us to be able to use these classes, we'll need to import use styles. Yep, and from our styles. And of course, we would also need to create an instance here. So classes is equal to use styles. Okay guys, so now I'm going to save this right now, and everything looks just fine. Why is this behaving this way? Our user is redirecting us back to home. Okay, so let's go back and fix that. And right within our routes, we have our /user with the token of user token. All right, let's go back to our user private route. And within our user private route, we have a route here that the exact path. And okay, so let's add this path here. Exact path, props the path, match the path. And it renders the props, which is to redirect to, and this is supposed to be path name or path name. Now let's save that and let's head back over here. Let me click on user, and yep, so that works just fine. So here is our user profile, the name, the email, the account creation date. So let's head over here and see how we can get that data from our API and then display it within our profile view in here. So for us to be able to do that, we would need to start off by creating our profile service. And this profile service is going to be within our user. So let's just services user, and right in our user, we are going to create a new service here called profile service.js. And that profile service.js is going to import our HTTP service, and this is from our HTTP service. And right in here, we are going to call load profile as the name of our service. And our load profile function is going to first create an instance of our HTTP service. All right. And after creating an instance of our HTTP service, we're going to have a URL here called profile URL, and that is going to be user view profile. And right here, we are then going to return our get request to HTTP get data. And because this user is signed in, we are going to be expecting the profile URL, and of course we're also going to be expecting the token ID. And lastly, of course, we need our response. And right here, we are then going to call our catch method. And for any error, we want to return the error. And any data we get also, we want to also return data. Okay, so we also have not defined the token ID. So let's call token ID to be user token. And right now I'm going to save this. So we have our load profile service. Now let's go ahead and create our profile actions. And so to create our profile actions, I'm going to open a new terminal, and I'm going to move into our YouTube multi-auth, and I'm going to go into our store. Our source. Next up, our store. Next up, our actions. Next up, user. And right in here, I'm going to create touch profile actions.js. Okay, so we have created our profile actions within our user. So right in our profile actions, the first thing we would need to do is we would need to import our, this is going to come from, let's get to our services, and in our services, user profile service. And what we are going to import is called load profile. And let me just get over to auth actions, and I'm going to copy a couple of things from here. Let's take this one here, just copy that, get over here and paste that. All right, so for our load profile actions, I'm going to call this load user profile actions. And of course this, or not actions actually, this is action. And this takes no parameter. And of course we are dispatching a loading. We'll actually got rid of that because we will need that. So let's call this load profile. And if this is success, then this is going to be load profile success. And here is going to be load profile error. All right, so within our actions, we are returning our dispatch event. We dispatch a type of loading. We call our load profile service, which returns a promise. And if our response is success and our response is true, we dispatch our load profile success with our response. Else we dispatch load profile error with our response. Else we call code error. And the next step is we are going to have to create our load profile service. So I'm going to go into our services within our store. So after actions, not our service, sorry, our reducer. So right within our user in here, you can see that we have our user reducer within our auth reducer. So let's come right in here and create our profile reducer. And so to create our profile service, we're going to head back to our terminal, and I'm just going to go back. All right, go back again. And within our source, we can then move over to our store reducers. All right, right inside of our reducers, we move into our user, and then we are going to create our profile, user profile reducer. So user profile reducer. And we have that right here. Oh my God, we didn't actually add the file extension, so the JS. Okay, so let's delete this one right now. Move to trash. And right within our user profile reducer.js, we are just going to copy this guy here and paste it in here. All right, so we don't need a restart auth response, and we need to change this to user profile reducer. And our initial state, would we call this? We'll call it user profile. All right, so user profile reducer, initial state. And for actions, we are also going to change every instance of this user auth response. And let's change this to user profile. And here we have loading on. We're also going to change this from sign up to, we call it load profile success. So load profile success and load profile error. And we don't need login success. And lastly, of course, is code error, which is code error. Okay, so our reducer is almost perfectly set up. We just need to copy this here now. And then I'm going to paste that in here, save this right now. Okay, so we have successfully set up our reducer. Now let's go back into our profile view. In our profile view, we would need to import a couple of things. First off, let's import use dispatch, all right, and use selector, and this is going to come from React Redux. Next up, we are going to import our profile actions, and what we want to import from our profile actions is called load user profile. So we're going to import load user profile action, and this is going to come from our store actions user profile action. So load user profile action is coming from this here. Okay, so having done that, the next thing we are then going to do is within our card element, within our div, we would want to look through whatever is the data that we'll be getting. So we want to display whatever is the data that we'll be getting from our endpoint. But before we do that, we would need to call our use effect hooked function. So let me import use effect here. And we also need to create instances of our dispatch. Let me not do so much of this. I'm going to copy this from a login view here. So let's just get this to save us some time. Let's go back to our profile view and create an instance of our dispatch, of our use dispatch method. And this is going to be called profile response. And our use selector is going to pick user profile. And this we actually called, let me see what we called it. We not user profile reducer, I'll call that user profile. So let's call this user profile. All right, we save this, but before we head any further, we would have to add this to our root reducer, basically our user profile to our root reducer. So to do that, I am going to go to our root reducer, and I'm going to import our profile reducer from our reducers user profile reducer. Let's change that. We call this user profile reducer. So this is supposed to be called user profile reducer from user profile reducer. All right, so now let's call this user profile, and this is from user profile reducer. All right, so within our profile view, we are going to call state.user profile.user profile. Of course, the second user profile is coming from here, which we define this as our user profile. All right, so back to our views. We are then going to create our use effect method here, use effect. And for this, we are going to get rid of this and make sure nothing is in here. And we are then going to dispatch our load user profile action. Okay, so we save this right now, and I'm going to head over to our application, and we have on line 11 of credentials is not defined in our profile actions. So let's get to our profile actions, and yep, we get rid of credentials. Save that right now again, refresh that again. All right, so if I get over to the console, let's see about that. So we are getting nothing from the console. All right, so now let's head back here, and what we can do to fix this is to go back to our profile service, and right here let's console.log data. So let's console.log error. So console.log data, and here too let's console.log error. So let's get that up here, save that right now, head back to application, and we have an error here saying JSON pass unexpected character at line 1, column 1 of the JSON data. And let's move over to network and scroll to the top here. If I were to click this now, we have method not allowed HTTP exception in route on line 231. All right, so now let's head back to our API, and we're going to head over to our API. And in our API, we are going to go into our route. So let's go back to our route here. And for our view profile, we can see here that we defined our view profile as a post request and not a get request. Right here, I'm going to change this to a get request. And for our admin view profile, I'm also going to change this to a get request. And now I'm going to save this and head back to our browser. And if I just close that right now, and I refresh that again, head back to our console, and we are still having this error. And so let's go over to network again, and we have a 401 this time around, which is simply saying we are not authenticated. And so what I'm going to do now is let's get back to our React application, and right in here I'm going to go back to our HTTP service, and in our HTTP service we missed out on this. We're supposed to have passed it this way, bearer, and then the token. And same too goes to our post request here whenever we want to be authenticated. So we just save that right now. And now let's head back over to our browser, and yes, we have our user profile. So we have our user profile right here, having the date it was created, the email, the name, and all the other details that we would need. So now let's get this to display in here. I'm going to head back right into our profile view. And in our profile view, I'm going to scroll down, but let me get rid of this first. And right in here, within our card elements, I'm going to wrap every single thing in here within curly braces. And we are then going to say if our user profile, which is what we call, we call it the profile response. So if our profile response is not an empty string, and our profile response is not null, and our profile response dot success is true, then we want to display our user data. Otherwise, we will just display a skeleton text here, and the variant should be a rectangular skeleton text that has a width of 210 and a height of 210. Let's just get this correctly. Maybe let's just reduce this to 118. Now, if I save this right now, we are right in here going to set up certain things. So for the name, we're going to say profile response dot user dot name. For the email, we're going to say profile response dot user dot email. And for the date the account was created, we're going to say profile response.user.created at. Save that right now. Save that right now. And if I head back over here, we have an error here saying profile response.user is undefined. And so what we are going to do now is let's head back in here. I'm going to comment this out and get back to application. And oh, not user, is actually data, not user. So what I am going to do right now is I'm going to comment that out, and I'm going to change this to data. And then also I'm going to change this to data. And then I'm going to change this to data. If I save this and I head over to my browser, you can see it fetches the user profile. We don't get to see the skeleton text, which I added in here, which just serves as a loader before the data comes up. So to be able to display, or for us to be able to see the skeleton text, I'm going to go into the profile actions. Of course, I'm going to remove that, but I'm going to set timeout here of so say 3 seconds before. So it's going to wait for 3 seconds before it dispatches this event. I'm going to save that now. And if I head over to my browser, you can see 1, all right, 3. And we have name, the email, and the account creation. So that's just going to be that for this video. In the next video, we are going to be looking at creating our admin profile.